Hello, everyone. So today I am going to be interviewing a couple of my friends, Parker and Erica, about their relationship, their marriage, having a disability, and what that looks like within a relationship. And we're just really going to get to know Parker and Erica today, and what it's like to be married, to be in a relationship, and what are the tips for success related to that. So I've got lots of questions for you guys, and we're just going to start with the obvious one, which is tell us about yourselves. Who are you guys? So tell me your name, how old you are, if you're willing to do that, your disability or disabilities. And then I want to know one word to describe each of you. If you were going to use one word, what word would you use? So who wants to go first?
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Erica. I am 38. I have primarily spina bifida, myelomenincocele. Big word. You can just say spina bifida. That's fine. Um, and I'm multiply disabled. I also have some invisible disabilities. Um, as far as like immune related disabilities and also mental health. Um, so I have depression and anxiety and CPTSD and a few other things. Um, and then I guess a word to describe me. Um, it's not one word, but so my old boss called me a pixie dream girl, like the ones from the movies, and I just thought that was so funny. So we'll go with that.
Pixie Dream Girl. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Erica.
Nice. So my name is Parker. I am 36, I think. Yes, I'm
hmm
36. Uh, just quickly, audio description, Korean American, trans guy. I'm currently wearing a black hat and a green shirt, and I'm seated in my power wheelchair. I have a disability called arthrogryposis and some mental health stuff. And then a word to describe me. Who did that? How about a noise? Who did I? No. Um, I don't know. I am. I don't. Can you help me out here? Can I phone a friend?
Leo.
I'm a Leo. I
Absolutely.
flipping knew it. All right. So I guess the word is that I'm a Leo. So for the folks that, follow the zodiac, if you look up Leo, you should see my face there in the stars. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. Erica, do you want to do a little description as well, visual description as well? I should have asked for that in the
Yeah,
beginning.
I totally forgot to. So I am a white woman with red and dark brown hair, and I wear rainbow glasses in the shape of a heart. And the top that I'm wearing is like a olive green.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So, where do you guys currently live?
Rochester, New York.
Hmm. Okay, awesome. Okay,
That's
so
it.
I'm just going to explain a little bit. Parker and I have been friends for a really long time now, and I met Parker through going to an April conference, the Association of Programs for Rural Independent Living, and have had a great friendship over the years. And that is why Parker is in this newsletter this time because I thought, you know what? I definitely get to follow Parker and Erica on Facebook, social media a lot, and I just really admire you guys' relationship and how you work so well together. So for our readers, they're probably going, "Why is Carrie interviewing someone from a whole different state?" It's because these are my friends, first of all, but also because I think it's good to learn from people out there who are successful in this whole romantic relationships, which is why we're doing this issue. Um, and I think they're going to have some really good stuff to share with us today. So. Okay, awesome. So how long, you guys are married? How long have you been married? But also how long have you known each other?
So we got married on October 27 of 23. So we've been married for almost 2 years. And then I really like our story. I think it's fun. I met Parker in 2016, 2015, 2016. And it was actually at the Nickel conference. Um, I had just moved from Orlando area to Rochester, and I didn't know anybody. I was not part of the disability community really. I have multiple disabilities, but I didn't grow up with other peers. So when I moved to Rochester, um, I had this whole big new world opened up to me. And I had the privilege of going to Nickel my first year, a few months after I started with my independent living center. We get to the conference, and during the conference, is the March on the Hill. And I'd seen this stud throughout the conference, and I was too shy. I didn't go up to him. I didn't say anything to him, but I wanted to, right? And so on the day of the march, I'm in a manual wheelchair with air tires, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because I'm looking at this hill, and it was literally a giant freaking hill. Um, and like while I had strength behind me, I didn't think I was going to make it. So I'm going up to it, and I'm can only imagine what my face looked like. Parker comes up and behind me in the line, and he says, "You know what? I used to be in a manual chair too, so I really can only imagine what's going through your head right now. But I've been through this too, so I'll tell you what, if you want, you can hold on to the back of my wheelchair." Um, that was like literally a knight in shining armor situation for me. And he whisked me away all the way up the hill. Now we started out as friends because we were both in relationships, but throughout the years, we just kind of missed each other. We were always in a relationship. So we were just friends for many, many years up until 2021. um, I was talking to him on Facebook Messenger, and I said something flirtatious, and he was like, "Wait, are you actually flirting with me?" And I said, "Parker, I don't know where you've been. I have been flirting with you for several years. And so we're going on like 6 years here." Um, and he's like, "Really?" And so he wanted to video chat me, but I was in the car about to be in a drive-through. And so I said, "I don't think this is the best moment to have this conversation. Why don't you call me later?" And then through the next couple of days, he decided that he would just buy me a ticket to go to Decatur, Georgia. Um, and we would just see how we gelled in person. And that's what we ended up doing. And ever since then, we have very rarely been apart.
Very cool. You want to add
What she
anything,
said.
Parker?
No,
Okay. It's a great story. Thank you. Well, that answered the next question, which is how'd you meet? So we'll just skip through that one. So obviously there's many things that you guys like each other, but what was it about the other person that made you want to marry them?
so this is Parker. I think, going into a relationship, whether it be really romantic or platonic, you got a couple of check boxes. You want to make sure that, that person kind of blends with your circle or just how you are and everything. And I think Erica, in a very short time checked off a lot of my boxes, but um, there were, I guess those boxes can also be known as insecurities, right? And so once those insecurities started to feel just like things about me instead of giving me anxiety. That was all based off of behavior that Erica did with and for me. Um, and it was just nonverbal communication that she totally caught on to, and it worked really well. So like with my physical disability, I can't lift my arms up or anything, but we were like, I think we were cooking or something, and she just moved my arm like it was like she was in my brain. Like she was like the little ratatouille, and I was like, how did you do that? And it wasn't in an ableist way though. It wasn't like I'm gonna do, it was like I think you need like this is what you're trying to do, and it worked so well. And I said, all right, nobody's ever done that before, and I kind of like it. But seeing that families are gonna be listening to this newsletter, that's where that ended, That
Okay. Yes, what about
Um,
you?
hmm, what made me want to marry Parker? Honestly, there's a lot of things. We are just very similar in person. We're very similar in interests and hobbies. He's an adventurous eater like I am. Um, I was very excited to try all of the foods of Atlanta. Um, he forgives me for calling it Atlanta. And
there's no T.
um, and honestly, it was just I don't have a long experience of dating other disabled people with a physical disability. And I was a little bit nervous because I was like, oh gosh, how is this going to work? It was not hard. It was not hard to figure it out at all. Parker is a wonderful partner in trying to problem solve. We've always come up against what we call puzzles, and we figured every single one of them out. And it was the way I was just so at ease with him very, very shortly after arriving for the very first time in Decatur. Um, that I was just like, okay, I could see me doing this for a long time. Um, so honestly, I guess it just means his personality is great. I guess. Don't let his head get big though.
That's why I wear a hat, just to make sure I'm not growing any sizes.
Good thinking. Cool. Thank you. So you guys have been married for a couple of years now, sounds like. So how has married life been so far?
It's not without challenges. I mean, marriage is work. It is work. It doesn't have to feel like work, but it definitely is. You have to make sure that you are basically maintaining your interest in the other person in a way that they understand that because the worst thing that could happen is that, maybe you're feeling the feelings that you're interested in your partner still, but they don't know it. And Um, honestly, I think neglect is really one of the worst things. So it's a balance of, okay, you have to get through all the things you have to do in the day, but you also have to remind each other you're in it together. You're against the systems together. You're not against each other. And that can be really hard when there's frustrations and disappointments and whatever else life throws at you. But at the end of the day, you have this other person to kind of handle the burden with you, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it's a big shift, from being single to going into a relationship. Obviously, or the obvious being that you're considering not only yourself now, but someone else in that party. And sometimes, you got to be like, oh, wait, any decisions really, not that it's a bad thing. It's just, oh, cool, I've got this bonus person I get to think about, or this bonus person I get to consider going to this place with me or whatever it may be. And I think, um, social media has a weird or annoying way of painting parts of life the way it should be, and it's not always that way, right? And so I think, a date night for me, and I'm not cheap, I promise, I will always take my wife out wherever she wants. But I think just a fun date night is like, all right, because we both have ADHD, let's make it a weird, fun game to do household activities, like
Hmm.
who can fold whatever faster or whatever it may be. And that's still getting the stuff that we need done. So then after that date, we're not overwhelmed with, oh crap, we didn't do X, Y, and Z. We had too much fun. So there's no guilt there. And just being able to also communicate like, all right,
Hmm.
today I just need a quiet day or whatever it may be. communication is big in anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll come back later to like tips for being successful in a relationship because I'm sure you guys have plenty. But what is your favorite part of being married or even just being in a relationship? Like what's your favorite, what's each of your favorite parts? And then we'll go to the opposite side of the coin.
Favorite part? More options for food meals. Like when we go out, I'm like, okay, if you want that, then I'll get this, and then we'll share half and half. Um, but I think for me is always knowing that you'll always have a person there during, good times and the bad times, and to learn and grow with, that question of, oh no, am I going to, you know, whatever concerning thought by myself? Well, not anymore, you know.
Hmm. For me, my favorite part is when the cat's not in my face. Um, no, my favorite part is I literally get to have a slumber party with my best friend every single night. And like I mentioned before, he is also very adventurous. So if I want to try anything, like Parker, I've never had a seafood boil. Of course, I've had a seafood boil, but I want to have a seafood boil, but it's like 8 o'clock at night. He'll figure out how to get that for me. He'll figure out how to make it happen. It may not happen that night, but you better believe first thing in the morning I'll have all of those groceries. And then we will have our own little seafood boil at home. Um, or I'll have like this ridiculous ask, and then he's like, okay, well, let's break it down. Let's figure out how to make it happen. One of the biggest tenets in our relationship is Parker introduced me to um no barriers, no excuses kind of situation. Like, if you want something to happen, we're gonna do our best to make it happen. Like, there's no reason to talk yourself out of it. So, honestly, just being married to my best friend.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. So you said that marriage is, not always easy. So what's your least favorite part?
Mm.
Pickles on my sandwich. She forgets. She
I didn't do
forgets.
it this time.
And she puts it on my sandwich, and I don't like when the textures combine, no matter how many times I request no pickles. So I put a 1 on her Yelp review for that one.
Secretly, I do it so I can eat his pickles.
Let's see. I think, um, like I mentioned earlier, it's the idea of combining two lives into one and then, communicating. It's not like the worst part, it's just the hardest part in a
Hmm.
way, you know? Um, because there's of course a fine line between being selfish and self-centered and having to go from I was always able to just be self-centered because it's, or selfish because it's just me. Now, oh, wait, I should pick something up or I should do X, Y, and Z, or she asked me to pick up something on the way home. I should probably be able to do that. That's not a problem. Um, but some people just routines are hard, and so that may be a tough part. Um, and then just naturally, I think just setting egos aside and saying, all right, either this is a task that I can't do and I need help with it, or like Erica was saying, no dead ends. There's nothing that's gonna stop us here. So let's reflect on it and see what we got first.
Hmm. I think for me, well, you stole one of them. Uh, um, we are definitely two strong personalities, and we're both used to living life a certain way, and again, who's making space for each other is incredibly important. Like he moved into my apartment, so he literally had to make space for him. But I think the other thing mainly is public stigmas. Um, the most frustrating part for me is when we're out in public and someone goes by or like even comes up to our faces and says, "Oh my God, you guys are so cute." And I'm like, I'm 38 years old.
Yeah.
But but it's just stuff like that. Like, we haven't been seriously confronted, but it's the little like microaggressions for me.
And I'm already the kind of person that's like, no PDA. They'll know that we're together, but if we do, it's just weird. So just the little bit that we're doing, she probably gets upset because she's like, dang, I just got him to hold my hand, and now you're gonna make a big deal out of it,
Hmm.
But
kind of
there
thing.
was one time where Looky Loo fell flat on her face. We were like, yeah, God is good.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was bad.
Do you guys ever have you had situations where people are like shocked that you're actually together and that you're a couple?
Um, there was a couple of people in my own personal circle that are just like, huh, he's definitely a different personality than you are. Like, be careful not to chase him away. And I'm like, I feel like he can handle it.
I got distracted. What was the question?
Oh, I was just curious, given the fact that you both have physical disabilities, you both are wheelchair users, do you ever have people that are shocked to know that you guys are together, like you're in a married relationship?
I've gotten I've just the idea that I'm with somebody else that's disabled. It's, oh, you're she's also disabled. And then it just turns into questions about her, like how, where, what? And I'm like, don't worry about it. You got to
Yeah.
ask her when you meet her, kind of thing. Or just the comments of, oh, that's so good for the two of you.
Yeah. Or
How?
the cute little wheelchair people.
Yes. Yes, like we're little Lego people. That's what I feel like when people say stuff like that. Like I'm a little Lego person, so I'll sit on their mantelpiece when they get home or something. Um, but that's the only part for me.
Yeah.
Interesting. People are different. That's all I can say.
Yes.
So, Parker, you said in the beginning that you were trans. You
Yeah.
introduced yourself that way. So,
Yeah.
obviously, there may be some people who are watching this that don't know what that means. Can you explain what that means and how long have you known that you're trans? And then I have a follow-up question for Erica related to that.
Okay, yeah. So I am trans, which is short for transgender, not transportation. I've gotten that before. I am not about transportation, although it's good. Transgender. So, um, a common acronym that you may see out there within the context of transgender is AFAB, which is assigned female at birth, or AMAB, assigned male at birth. I was assigned female at birth, and I'm transitioning my gender to being male. And so I will, for the rest of my life now, identify as a trans male. Um, I do transition medically, but there are folks that transition socially and medically, socially only, you know, and to each their own. There's no specific answer to being trans. Um, I've been medically transitioning since 2017, and I don't want to do math right now, so that's however many years. And a lot of changes have happened, of course, socially, my appearance, um, making new friends, unfortunately losing some friends because it's still considered, a hot topic that shouldn't be, right? I think it's a diversion from other topics that I think need to be brought up. I think the focus really related to trans folks is, our happiness and our livelihood and how can we achieve that. But instead, we're looking at how can we gatekeep, and that's never what we want. Um, so I officially medically transitioned in 2017, but I kind of knew for a while. I didn't have the terminology for it, but then when it started coming out, some people were doing it's a fad thing, all that fun stuff. Unfortunately, it's not a fad. It costs a lot of money. No, let's see. How long did I know? Okay, and then What was the other question, part of the question?
I think you covered most of it. I have a question for Erica, though,
Okay.
related to this.
Sure.
So, Erica, did Parker being trans ever make you hesitate to date him? Like, how did you feel about that? And did it ever make you like hesitate to move forward with Parker?
Um, well, honestly, a little bit about me. I'm actually bisexual. So, um, I don't really spend a whole lot of time thinking about what parts people have, so I didn't care. But I also had the privilege of knowing Parker before he was Parker. Um, and his personality didn't change at all. He just got cooler, I guess. Um, so I was okay with that. I just was worried that he would transition and get hotter, and then all these other girls would flock around him, and then I wouldn't have a chance anymore.
Nerd.
Thank God he's an introvert.
Yeah.
Um, no, honestly, I really didn't have a whole lot of hesitation. I'd never dated uh a transgender person before, and so I didn't really know too much of what to expect, but I knew Parker, so I didn't care because I like he's not different behind closed doors or out in public. He's the same person.
I think the car accident changed me more than the
Yeah, the car
testosterone.
accident did have some stuff, but um at the end of the day, it's just Parker. That makes me happy.
Mhm. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I, I like it. Okay. Let's talk more about your disabilities. So how do your disabilities play a part in your relationship? You guys kind of talked about both of you have multiple disabilities. You got kind of a list going on there. So between
Yes.
the two of you, it is quite the list. But do you feel like your disabilities complement each other, or does having all those disabilities kind of add up to, wow, this is really challenging because of our disabilities? Like, is there a little bit of both, or how does that work between you guys?
I think that the physical stuff can be a little challenging, but we've been able to figure it out pretty well. And now we're in a routine where um nothing's really too overwhelming at this point. I think for me, my concern with my mental health was always a worry that it would send Parker running for the door. And I think we've more or less figured that stuff out too. Um, it's just like getting to know each other and what makes each other's tick and the figuring out the puzzles. Like most of the time it doesn't have anything to do with us personally, it's a system issue. Like I can't or Parker needed to figure out how to get to the hospital when I was in the hospital in July. And the system's not super built for us out here. But like he had motivation behind it. He figured it out, and maybe that meant that he had to get up a little bit earlier, he needed to do this and that, but he did figure it out. And that's just an example of the kind of thing that we needed to figure out. Like in our daily life, Parker just knows that he needs to stay out of the kitchen and I won't pull my hair out. Um,
Yeah.
so, it's the little things.
I think it's communicating, like we mentioned earlier, being able to say, okay, I definitely this is what I know with my disability I can't do, or this is something I've never done before. Would you be willing to try it with me? Um, with cooking, cleaning, whatever. I got a vacuum because I was like, okay, if I get this one, I could be able to try to help a little bit. And, she's like, are you sure? It was just trial and error, but it turned out to
Mhm.
be a positive experience. Um, but I think in any relationship, right, when you're going to date somebody, you have questions like, hey, do you want kids? Well, you can't escape the fact that you're disabled. So I'm imagining you have your own next set of questions, subset of questions of, okay, are you fine with setting something up such a way instead of a traditional bedroom set or whatever for my access needs, or what are your access needs? Um, and then playing off of that. Uh, and realizing that we're a team. So if I see that Erica's doing a lot of like physical stuff in the day, I'll try to do more of the phone calls or things that I can definitely do. Because she gets phone
Mhm.
call anxiety. I don't know what it's called, but so I'll, try to do my best Erica impression and make some phone calls for her. Just because, again, it's our household, it's not hers, it's not
Mhm.
mine. And so there's always going to be a place for me to do something, or, vice versa. It's too easy to get comfortable, but again, that's with any relationship, right? It's not disability considered. I know some able-bodied folks that have just mooched off of their partner because it's easy, and we get that negative connotation that that's what we do in an inner able relationship or a disabled relationship. That's not the case. We still have to keep things moving.
Mhm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. Parker stays on the line with Social Security for like 4 hours for me, and then I get on the phone. And I value that highly. So I will happily just go do the dishes and do a little bit of vacuuming, whatever else I can physically do at the moment, while he handles that stuff. Because um, I can't sit there and focus on a phone for 4 hours. I don't have it in me. But but that was a really good um that was a good way of putting it, Parker.
Thanks.
I think it's definitely teamwork. I mean, being
Hmm.
married is teamwork, but especially when you both have disabilities, teamwork becomes even more important, each person doing their own part that they can do. So that's really cool. So I would like to have you guys explain. So you live independently. You guys have your own apartment. Is that correct? Okay.
Hmm.
Yes.
Because a lot of our youth that may watch this, um, don't know that they can live independently.
Ooh.
I didn't many years ago.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. We've all been there, or we have on this video,
yeah.
obviously. So tell us a little bit more about like how that works for you guys. Do you have personal care attendants that come in? Do you do everything yourselves? Like how do you successfully live independently?
So I lived in another state before independently, and I actually had to take my stuff and bring it up this way. And Erica had opened her doors to me, and we, hopped on the lease, but it was more of a, what kind of home care do you have up there, making sure that my access needs were going to be met. So considering bills, right? Erica's much more
Hmm.
organized when it comes to bills. So she was like, "Okay, here's the budget. Can you make half of it?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." Um, uh, from there, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
How we kind of navigate being independent individuals with services and
Oh, yes. And so, like I said earlier, two different lives combining together instead of having two attendants at the same time. Now we're having to learn how to communicate with just one and find one that is willing to do the work for both of us, right? Um, and timing of that person, right? We can't split a
Mhm.
person in half. Um, and then, what can you do? What can I do? We work off of each other again. You want to add anything?
Yep. I think for me, um my attendant service experience was different before Parker got here. Um because I am a little bit more physical. I can do a little bit more. There are obviously things that I do need for personal care and things like that, but um, I was used to doing everything on my own. Like I was raised as with bootstrappers, basically, which is hard as a disabled person, but attendant services made things a lot easier. I'm just getting used to having so many people in the house all the time and people touching my things kind of situation, which is an experience that I think a lot of people could identify with. Is um unfortunately being forced to have different people come in and move things and not necessarily have their listening ears on. Um, but I'm still very, very grateful for the service. Um, so it's just kind of like a learning curve. I used to, before I developed my other disabilities, I used to drive all the time. I have an adapted Corolla and I used to go everywhere. So getting used to being a little bit more homebound has been um, a transition as well.
I think the other part is too, when you're living with parents, family, a guardian, whatnot, you're
Hmm.
kind of used to them doing, I don't know, whatever it is that they're doing. We make the decision to live independently, it doesn't mean that we can never, reach out for assistance or whatnot, but it's more of an understanding of what are the new responsibilities now
Hmm.
that I need, and how to prepare for that. So it sounds fun to live independently, and it totally is. And if you're open to learning, it's definitely for you, right? There's
Hmm.
a lot of things to learn about. I didn't know much about budgeting or communicating to someone the things that I need. How did I know that I'm allowed to ask that, or how to ask?
Yeah.
And
Um,
the golden rule is just treat others the way you want to be treated.
I think for transitioning out of your parents' home for me though is learning that I could literally make a bowl of cereal at 8 p.m.
Yeah,
and I could just sit there and watch cartoons and stay up till 2 and nobody could say anything about it because I am responsible for being tired the next day.
right.
And just like it's a small example, but it really did show me that there was real freedom. And that's the name of the game. When you live on your own, you have the freedom to live the way that you reasonably want to live. There are still consequences, but they're yours to make. And I think that's the coolest part of living outside of your parents' home is you get to learn all of those things.
Mhm.
For sure. Yeah, agreed. Mhm. I want to get to some of you guys' advice. Um, Again, knowing that our target audience is youth with disabilities. And so, what would be your advice for someone who says, no one wants to date me because of my disability? What would be your thoughts or your advice on that?
Um, I think I would say to this person, well, my love, there will be people who don't want to date you because of your disability. It is their loss. You don't want to be with someone who is resentful of you. But what you will find is that there are very many people out there who will think you are the coolest thing since sliced bread. And you need to put your energy into those people. And so I would urge a young person not to jump into a relationship just simply for the fact of having one. You need to vet people. Have some conversations. You know, don't keep talking to someone if they only have a certain intention with you or if they're being weird. You know, go with your instincts. Parker's a weirdo, but it was the kind of weird I could accept. So, um, and if someone's a little too interested in your disability, then you need to make that decision too, because there are people that are like that as well. Just proceed with caution.
Mhm. So I think either we know now or we will get to know what it's like to feel like we're having to educate people on our disability all the time. And when it comes to a relationship, you don't I know you definitely don't want that to be an ongoing thing. And so, um, like Erica was saying, if right now the concern is no one wants to date me because of my disability, we also want to be concerned with, oh, this person only wants to date me because of my disability. Um, we can look back at our check boxes that I mentioned earlier, the insecurities that Erica, checks off for me. Um, it's connected to that. Do they kind of make that go away? If I don't even know what the heck I'm trying to say. Jeez.
To use your discernment.
Yes. See, that's why we're married, because she can go into my brain and then pull it out for you. Yes. Basically, trust your gut, like Erica was saying. Really know that you know what you need in your life and want in your life and, you
Mhm.
know, deserve. You do deserve a positive relationship. And that doesn't mean that they need to be there just for your disability, or they're not going to be there just because of your disability.
Mhm.
Right. And for every young person, there's no such thing as, well, at least they such and such. You don't accept behavior just because you are feeling poorly about your disability. There's no reason for that. You have self-worth in there somewhere. You just have to find it.
Mhm.
And you are deserving of the person that you actually want, not the person that you think you deserve.
Mhm.
Great advice. Thank you guys. What are your tips for having confidence and being proud of your authentic self? It's a journey, I know. But what are your tips for
I
that?
mean,
That is something that a lot of people struggle with.
I'm of the opinion that no one has genuine confidence, but it's a fake it to make it situation. Um I don't know. There's different facets of life that you have more confidence in than others. Um draw from those experiences, I think. Like I could easily jump into civil disobedience right now with zero qualms, and getting arrested is not an issue for me. I could be in the middle of it very confident. But you put me in a room where I have to talk to someone for an hour and a half about a specific topic, and then I'm just like all nerves and shaking. Um, so, you draw from the experiences that you do find yourself feeling better about, more confident in, and fake it till you make it.
Um, let's see. Unless you're harming somebody or yourself, honestly, you really can't listen to people trying to break down your confidence or your pride in yourself. Um, I don't, I never understood why people would down other people for wearing whatever it is. You weren't there when they chose that outfit, so you don't know why they wanted to, right? Maybe that color made them think of their mother. Now you messed something up with a memory, and we never know. And so I think we all have our own situation. We have to positively, we deserve to live that authentically with pride and confidence. Um, but we can't let our egos stomp on other people. So until we're harming others, do what you need to do is what I feel.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Okay, my last question. What are your tips for being successful in a relationship, whether that be marriage, just, dating someone? Like what are your tips for being successful in a romantic relationship? We'll say that.
Mhm. I can't stress it enough. Just open communication, being real with the person, and if you can't be vulnerable and open with them, then just reconsider that relationship. But I mean, the
Mhm.
point of it is to be able to say, "Hey, listen, I didn't know that that was going to hurt you, or I didn't know that that was a bad memory. please forgive me. My apologies. Being able to set your ego aside and say, I messed up, and being able to do that. Or thank you for teaching me that and showing me, that that's a better way for you. Because if we are closed off and we just say, that doesn't work, we're making it very difficult for the partner to want to work with us, um, or to even be able to, right? So
Yep.
any means of communication, and it doesn't always have to be verbal. You can be flexible and say, listen, if you need to text me with your comments or statements of something that I said or whatever, because you don't like confrontation, please hit me with a text, whatever works.
Um, I think building off of that, I think it's very important that you sit down and have the hard conversations about life. Um, because we have a loved one who is in a situation where their partner didn't know didn't ever want children. And while they are not super deep into their relationship, um, it is causing problems. So I think it's really important that like maybe not in the first date, because that's a little weird. Hey, nice to meet you. Do you want to have a boy or a girl? I don't know. Um, but I think it's really important that when you do establish yourself as a couple and you decide that you're going to live your life together in the future, you need to have those conversations because what if it turns out that you desperately want children and your partner doesn't? You're going to be crushed. You're better off just finding someone who also wants children.
Communication has to go both ways too. You can say all the things that you need. Of course, you're entitled to, share your barrier or boundaries and so on. But, you have to also equally as much listen and be receptive to what information your partner or partners are giving you,
Hmm.
so that they can feel safe in doing it again the next time. And adding that up, the again and the again, your goal is to make that a lifetime of agains.
Yep. Um, oh, and then Parker and I do occasional check-ins,
Yeah.
which is really helpful. So, what's something that we've done that's been really great, or what's something that we're struggling with?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Or what's a shirt that you saw me wearing and you just said, absolutely never do that again to me in public. And
I don't wait. I tell
I'll
them
miss
right away.
I'll miss the shirt, but I gotta set my ego aside.
Honesty is key, right?
It is.
Okay, you guys, we covered a lot of different things. Is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't talk about?
Um, I want to say that not everything, I mean, just because this is the kind of world we're living in, I think not everything needs to be up on Facebook and not everything on social media is real.
Hmm.
So try your best to kind of not compare yourself to those kind of or the relationships you see online. Um, just because you're not on the other side of the camera when that camera's finished taking that photo. Um, so it's not that it's all bad, right? It's just you can make your own kind of happiness. It doesn't have to be cookie
Hmm.
cutter based off of what you see. Like I was saying earlier, date nights, as many times as I want to take you out anywhere and everywhere, we still make it fun to do
Hmm.
household activities because they still need to happen.
Right. And I guess I would just, um, I'm going to put cautions out there. If you go out with someone you've never met before, put your location on for somebody that you know,
Yes.
so that they can keep an eye on you and make sure that you are not being taken out of state or out of country. Um, and you know, don't let anybody pressure you into something that you are not comfortable with. Because again, there are people who specifically try to date disabled people because of other reasons.
Consent is incredibly important. That's not
Hmm.
just, you know, related to adult times, but it's more so anything. So Erica mentioned earlier that I had bought her a ticket to come and visit me, and it was out of, a surprise. If at any point she said, I don't feel comfortable, I'm not going to come out anymore, I would have been fine with it. Not that I would have to, I would have been fine with it because it's her comfort level. So when somebody's saying, this doesn't work for me, or if you're saying that something doesn't work for you, things should stop.
Yep. And if somebody is abusing you in any way, you need to do whatever you need to do to get away from them.
Yes.
Sure, yeah. And we're going to have, different resources in our newsletter and things like that too, to know where to go if things like that are happening. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, but very good points. Thank you guys so much. This was fun. Thank you so much for sharing all the information. I think that you guys are just a really great example of a real couple, a real couple with disabilities that are doing it and are doing it successfully. At least it looks that way from the outside.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. And thanks for sharing your story with us. I'm sure lots of people will enjoy learning more about you guys and how you do make it work. And I think it does show people, especially our young people, that it is possible to find someone who accepts you and loves you and is, that person that you're meant to be with. So thanks for being an example of that. So
Absolutely. Thank you for
thank you
having us.
guys.
Yes,
I
definitely.
appreciate you, and I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this interview today.
Yes.